We'll create microposts using the same basic command, Rails generate scaffold. In this case, it's going to be a micropost resource. For some reason, scaffolds use the singular. I'm not sure why. When you generate controllers, it's the plural, models are the singular. Eventually, these will become second nature to you. So we have a content. Remember, let's take a look at our model here. The content is a text field, and then there's a user ID that's an integer. There's actually a second way to do this association between microposts and users, which we'll talk about later in the tutorial. That'll be lesson 11. As with users, that created a migration for us. We can take a look here. Just close these down. Actually, I think there's a way to close them all down. Collapse all folders. That's cool. So let's go to, it's a db migrate. And here's the micropost table. And as before, we use rake db migrate. Oops, forgot the rake. It's because I had to type bundle exec. I don't usually do that, but I think it's a good idea because that really makes it the least error prone. Let's go back to our diagram of MVC. Remember, the first step is that there's a Rails router that tells the system where to map this URL. And so with users, we had /users, and that got routed to the index of the users controller. So you can probably guess by parallel structure what it looks like in the case of the micropost. So it's an app controller. Well, so let's look at the config. So it's in config routes. This is the router. You can see that the generate command, this Rails generate scaffold, put in this line, resources microposts. So that's what creates this mapping. And then in the controllers, micropost controller, very similar to the users controller. In fact, it's identical except for the name, micropost versus users. So here's the index, micropost.all, and so on. I keep emphasizing that we're just getting a taste of this. This should be confusing at this point. There's so much material being thrown at you at once. If you've not done this before, it's likely that there's just too much to take in. This is just to get a taste. We're going to be covering everything here throughout the rest of the tutorial.